Holy crap!
7K dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We'll be looking at Mythical Awakened Zahara and we are jumping into Arena straight away. This is currently my team. I'm using kind of a hybrid team. Got rid of Noah, got rid of Chris because Orkah has also been remade, so I've slot him in over here. For the first match, we'll be talking about skills and then I'll go on to talk about his build as well as comment on his bulk, power, synergy as well as how you can counter Zahara in future. So for his skills, you will see very shortly that he'll be using his first skill after Evan's shield. So I've realized that Evan's shielding comes up very quickly in a match. I think that's partially because it is a non-damaging skill. So Midnight Ruffian, Zahara's top skill, is one that reduces recovery rate by 50%. That is actually quite a good number and definitely very useful against tank teams if they are still around. And I think this actually nerfs Caesar's healing a lot. You can see that Caesar may fall off the meta pretty soon. However, he is still a Pentagon member and goes well with Zahara himself so that you can incapacitate universal heroes, so maybe Caesar might still stick around for a little longer. Unfortunately over here my Orkah dies because he is pretty frail, but my Zahara is using his bottom skill, which not only decreases defense by 40% for 3 turns, also increases enemies cooldown. He inflicts this on 3 enemies, so these 3 enemies are basically not going to do anything. And here his awakened skill, just take a look at the damage. This is what you saw in the opening. It is insanely strong, and I think everyone should capitalize on that because his awakened skill can have the potential to take out several units on the enemy side of the field, especially in the lower tier arenas. So after talking about his skills, we're going to talk about his passive. His passive alone makes him a very important and useful hero in Arena because it not only decreases block rate of enemies by 30%, it also buffs your team whereby you receive less magic damage by 25% if I'm not wrong. And this makes him a very unique hero whereby he is an offensive hero but he has a lot of buff and debuff capabilities, and I do like the direction they are going in because in those cases then heroes will no longer just rely on their own buffs. You can actually try to fit them in different team compositions, and I think that is a good thing that we are gonna get in future. So over here I'm gonna talk about his equipment. For his weapons, I've actually given him double crit, which is also why the huge damage was seen just now, because crit increases damage by 1.5 times. So double crit, you can also try to give him double speed. However, over here I'm using my Orkah as my speed leader, attack leader. So my Orkah has the double speed so that he can land more bleed on the enemies. The thing about Zahara's effect attack is that he reduces the target's block rate by 40% with his effect attack, which is also very useful, so that may be something you want to consider as well. For his armor, I've given him HP block. Unfortunately, as you saw, he tends to die, but that's understandable because he is after all an offensive hero. So his bulk is definitely not going to be on the same level as Evan or Caesar or even Chris, who are defensive and universal heroes. You may even look at counter because like I said, his effect attack is pretty useful. But over here, I'm still stuck on using Orkah, so that's why I've not given him counter, instead given him more bulk. So he just used his awakened skill and you saw that it didn't do that much damage, but probably because of the equipment and setup of the enemies. But I feel that he does have the potential to hit very high amounts of damage, and unfortunately he has already died here. So likewise, I would like to say that his bulk itself is not fantastic, but he is kind of like a glass cannon, I would say. So get his skill up much faster, which is why I'm going to talk about his jewels. Over here for his jewels, I've actually given him physical attack increase, which is the new Dark Knight jewel. Cooldown increase, I know not really useful right now, but in future when more Zaharas are riding around in the field, cooldown increase could be useful. And I've also given him crit rate increase, okay? So what I would say that for now, you may want to take out the cooldown increase that I have given mine. And one thing to change here is that I will actually give him the increased awakening gauge jewel instead, so that he can quickly use his awaken skill, kill off some enemies, or at least bring their HP down by a huge amount and proc their willful rings or whatnot, and even kill off Chris. you saw that Chris has not been alive for long in all these matches because of the incapacitate from Zahara's passive. So as long as you have two Pentagon members, be it Zahara and Caesar or Zahara and Orkah, Chris will not be able to survive on 1 HP, and that is a key thing here, and that is why I feel that Chris may be going out of the meta very quickly. For Zahara's accessory, I've given him Willful Ring and Galadas Madness to inflict fixed damage, and basically that's just carried over from other heroes. For his traits, I've given him increased skill use, increased damage on offensive and physical attack increase. In this match, I think my Zahara did not use any skill at all, did not move. However, he still played a very important role because he did after all decrease block rate. And that is why I said that his passive alone makes him a very outstanding hero. Especially right now when you still face tank units as well as scouts, I think Zahara plays a very important role in this meta. So even though he does nothing in this match, I'm pretty sure you guys have already witnessed his bulk and his power based on the first two matches. And just to reiterate what he is good against as well as his synergy with other heroes. So basically he is definitely here to counter Chris, no doubt about that. Because Chris actually lives on 1 HP and breaks into his immortal stage. And with Zahara around, coupled with another Pentagon member such as Orkah in this case or Caesar, Chris will not be able to break into immortal mode, so if you can quickly bring down Chris, he will definitely die. And that is pretty good because Chris is annoying, especially when he does his effect attack, it hits really hard. And in those cases, you will want to avoid that. So Zahara is here to counter Chris, and that's a good thing, I feel. Of course, in future, Chris may come back, and because Zahara's passive to incapacitate universal heroes only is something that is only available if he is paired with another Pentagon hero, which means even if Zahara in future stands to live through the meta, we cannot be entirely sure if Caesar and Orkah will also be there. So in that case, Chris can come back in future cases, and we may face a case whereby metas will change subtly based on all these little conditional passives. And I think that is something that Dev Kagura also wants to bring back, such that players can experiment with teams based on different team criteria, based on different hero skill criteria, and maybe, just maybe, Arena could be more diverse once again. So right now you can see that I'm still fighting a lot of Chris teams because after all, not many people have their Zahara ready. So Chris is still around, you have a lot of magic units as well. So after a while, once all these units start to step down, things may change again, okay? First things first is that your traits. Right now you can give Zahara death resist, but Chris will slowly be phased out, and when that happens, traits will change again. The same goes for accessories. I don't really know if the Galadas Madness is the best thing for him. Maybe the Galadas Velocity, the height, is gonna be very useful for him as well, so that he does not get countered. After all, he is pretty frail, and I think maybe the height could be a better option for Zahara instead, so that he at least doesn't get countered early on in the match. And you do need him to proc his awaken skill very quickly, so again, something I would change would be giving him the increased awakening gauge. So how can we counter Zahara in future? As you saw from these few matches, my Zahara has not really lived till the end, except for the third match. And I think countering Zahara shouldn't be a big concern because he is after all pretty frail. So I would see people trying to build more bulk on him, maybe even going for increased block rate, because Zahara's exclusive item does increase his defense by 10%. And I think that says a lot about his bulk, because to even have this kind of stat boost on your exclusive item for an offensive hero is probably already suggests that you are pretty frail to begin with. So height accessory, like I mentioned, could be an upcoming thing for him. That will be something I'll probably experiment around with. So now I'm gonna just focus on the last match, okay? I know that I haven't really been talking about the matches, you guys have just been hearing me talk about all his builds and whatnot. So here he's using his Midnight Ruffian. It does full crit because after all my crit is at 88%. So along with my masteries, I think my crit is probably 98%. So over here he's using his Awaken skill. I'm anticipating the damage. Unfortunately it's not too big and it doesn't kill off the crit. So this match is particularly unique and I deliberately chose to show you guys this because he died really early, right? And Chris on the enemy side did not die. So if Zahara dies early and you don't kill the Chris fast enough, then your enemy Chris is still going to be able to break into zombie stage. So it is not a debuff. The incapacitate effect of course only takes place when Zahara is on the field. And in that case, I guess that is still a redeeming point for Chris because after all, Chris is pretty tanky. So if teams still want to run Chris, it is possible as long as they kill Zahara off early. So I guess that is the balance that we have here. And I think it is pretty cool because it doesn't mean that Chris is completely useless. I mean, over time, maybe with more Zaharas, you will see that Chris stands lesser chance. But it doesn't mean that there's completely no chance, okay? So yeah, both my offensive heroes are all down. I don't think they have super fantastic bulk at all. If you realize, most of my surviving units are still my tanks. However, they did do a lot of damage at the start, especially Orkah, and I'm gonna spend the last few seconds to talk about Orkah. I think Orkah's remake is pretty fantastic. His bleed is top notch. He has a lot of bleed, so make sure you let him have high effect attack rate so that he has a lot more higher chance to land the bleed. And of course, with the new Dark Knight Jewel effect attack increase, I think that will also be good for him, as well as counter attack damage, as well as basic attack damage. You know, all these sorts of things, whatever you can carry over from Chris, just give it to Orkah, I think. And of course, you need to give him debuff pass rate, because otherwise he won't be proccing the bleed. So let me know what you guys think of Zahara and if you like Orkah as well. Hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you in deciding how to build Zahara. Stay tuned for more guys, thank you so much and see you.